came across a quotation a while back, which I'll try and locate and put in the info box, but it seems to relate to me to this concern that I have about morality and values and what they mean really. And I can't remember the exact wording of it, but it was something to the effect that humans are the only creatures that judge a person not on what they actually do, but on what they think they could do, or not on what they actually are at that moment, but on some kind of ideal version of what they are, an ideal version of what they do. We don't do that with other animals. So for example, when we're kids at school, you know, you hand in a piece of homework to your teacher in primary school and you get it back and it'll say 6 out of 10, and then she'll write underneath, could do better, could do better. So she's not marking you, she's stamping you with 6 out of 10, and that's your score, and that's your just kind of value free allocation of what kind of a person you are. There's this could do better thing, there's this assumption that there's a kind of ideal you which is a little bit smarter than your performance in that particular test, or a little bit more hard working, or a little bit more knowledgeable or something. So you're being judged not on what you are, but what you could be. But you would never do that with an animal, you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense to do it with an animal. I can't judge my dog's behaviour based on their, you know, on what they could do. I don't say to them, I'm really disappointed with you for fighting with that dog, because you're capable of so much more peaceful behaviour in relation to the dog. So it doesn't make any fucking sense, does it? In fact, in dog training, you know, if you ever watch the Dog Whisperer, which I really like, you know, one of the things that's really obvious watching that is that you're not really training the dogs at all. You're training the owners. You know, you have this ideal of what an owner should be, which for Caesar Milan is the leader of the pack, and there are certain things which a leader of a pack should be. They should be strong. They should be decisive. You know, and there are a range of other things. So you teach the owner to behave according to that particular role, the role of a leader of the pack, an ideal leader of the pack, and the dogs will fall into line behind that. You're not teaching the dogs, as I say, you're setting up an aspirational goal, an ideal pack leader, and training the owner to fulfill that role. So how does this relate to that whole value moral thing? Oh, I don't know. I mean, in a sense, it's part of that is-ought thing, that you can't build a morality around, you know, around that kind of dichotomy of is and ought. You can't say something is. Oh, I can't even be able to go into that. But also the fact that we are a particular kind of creature. You know, that we are conscious. We are not only sentient, but sentient of our sentience. You know, we are capable of constructing this idea of an ideal self. We can project into the future and imagine a better kind of person that we could be, or a better society that we would want to be part of, and we would take a particular role within and carry out certain actions within. We're capable of doing that, and it might be very limited. We might have all kinds of constraints placed upon that, you know, because no society can be completely ideal, I guess. But we can imagine a best of all possible world scenario, I think, and place ourselves within that. I suppose the conflicts arise when we have different understandings of what the best of all possible worlds look like. I mean, there's a peculiar kind of idealism in German National Socialism in the 1930s. They had a very clear picture of an ideal world, you know, in which the people who they regarded as deserving to belong in that ideal world would have a very nice life, thank you very much. But I think most of us these days would not agree that that's an ideal world, and a lot of the suffering that came out of that was you know, entirely based on an idealism, on a strange kind of idealism, on the presenting of an ideal world, the adopting of behaviours which would get us 10 out of 10 in that ideal world, and then and everyone else can go to the bloody wall, really. Yeah, I suppose we need to imagine a world in which is just a bit better than that, really, or which has got less drawbacks. It's never going to be completely ideal, I suspect. There's always going to be somebody getting hurt, or some animal getting hurt, or something. I don't know, but yeah, that ability to judge ourselves according to our ideal selves, to judge the world according to the ideal world, or at least the best of all possible worlds, that seems like a valid project. And I think what makes it interesting, and this is where I'm going to fall out with Gary again, I'm sure, is because it is uniquely human. Again, I think for the same reason I think that dogs can't train themselves. You have to have Cesar Millan to training the owners. We do have consciousness. We are able to project into the future. We are able to establish values by imagining ideals. We are able to look into an imaginary future, create a subjunctive future that contains the kind of things we want in it, and which creates people, the people we would like to be, in order to make that world realisable and then occupy that. And I know only humans can do that, as far as I'm aware. So whilst we might take on all kinds of other agendas to do with, prevention of cruelty to animals, minimisation of exploitation of the world's resources, all those kind of agendas, it's humans who are doing that, and we are uniquely placed to do that. And I guess whilst we should resist the chauvinism that comes along with that, and I think we're not too bad at that, I don't think we can forget that it's us that's doing it, really. Nor should we forget that we're doing it. After all, it is now a gift. It doesn't seem to be. I don't see the rats and the dogs and the cats and the cockroaches making any particular effort to make the world a better place.